Well, because I know. Do you know?
I just answered you.
Yeah, I was just making it clear. Because I'm like, how sincere?
You're not gonna out nerd me, Ethan. All right.
You want to have a nerd off?
I'll nerd you off right now. Right now.
Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Steve.
That is indeed Steve, filling in for Annmarie this time around, because she thought this was going to be a horror movie. And Steve, I think you can attest to this. This most certainly was not a horror movie. In fact, it was action-adventure, which is kind of what Annmarie's into.
Yeah, this is more of a definitely action-packed more than horror. Well, maybe body horror, but it was all green blood and.
Okay, right out of the gate, we'll tell you this. This is not your typical Predator movie. It's definitely one that sticks true to its origins, but it definitely plays more so in the world than it does in the genre of where it originated from, I would say.
Yeah, it's much more of a universe movie of the Alien versus Predator verse than a specific Predators movie. There's a lot of different elements and Easter eggs in there, and it takes Predator as a concept and kind of does an offshoot of it as like the premise of the movie.
By the way, this is directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who, if you recognize that name, he's the one that directed the last two Predator movies between Prey and Predator Badlands, which recently came out, which was the animated anthology movie that went direct to streaming. And dude, that's two Predator movies within the same year. Predator Badlands and then Killer of Killers right there. So dude, this guy is nonstop with this Predator universe.
He's praying. He's praying.
He's preying on that Predator realm, man. You don't even know. But yeah, I gotta say, giving context here, I enjoyed the original Predator. I like the Alien stuff more so than I like the Predator stuff.
I'm in that same camp as well.
Yeah, and when it comes to the newer stuff, Prey and Predator Killer of Killers, I really enjoyed that. I honestly, personally, this might be a hot take. I think Prey is better than the original Predator. I know that's probably not the most popular opinion, but I don't know. It just really, Prey really stuck out to me as one that just fulfilled what the mission was of the original Predator movie, but better. I don't know. That's just me. But Steve, what's your take on the whole Predator world before we really dive into Predator Badlands?
I'm a huge fan of Aliens, and just a forefront. Predators is like, and it is the second series in my eyes of, it's there. I like it. It adds to the universe, but my main focus is Aliens. I love Alien versus Predator. It's an awesome action movie anytime I go see a Predators movie. But it's, I would say, more action than horror, and that doesn't really appeal to me as much.
Because this one dives more into action and thriller, and you and I both came out of this theater thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, there was a lot of different expectations going in, and I kind of went in trying to, push those down a little bit just to kind of give this movie a fair chance. But yeah, I can see this being a little bit controversial for diehard Predator fans. It could rub them the wrong way. Personally, as a moviegoer, not as a Predator fan, I thought it was a really good movie, but there are some things that makes changes to the canon that I think might irk some people the wrong way.
And I'm not even certain if I would say they're changes to the canon as much as it is just a change of the perspective of the canon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you could see this movie as like a solid event in that universe, or a single event in that universe.
Yeah, and I think this does such a really good job at exploring that universe, like showing us stuff we haven't really seen before and elements of the was it Yutari? Is that
I think it was Utah.
yeah,
Utah.
I can never remember it, but but basically showing us elements of like the different clans and like all this the culture of the predator species, and it's just so fascinating. You think it would just be a blatant, oh, they're just really tough, and that's about it.
That's what my expectations were coming into this movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's definitely like a power fantasy of This is a guy who's meant for killing, going to a planet that is all trying to kill him, and he is going to kill the entire fauna of this planet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and honestly, right out of the get-go, the perspective of where the plot goes really kind of shifts from where we expected it based on the trailer. And but you still get so much out of it, like with what you're going into with the Predator movie, you want a bunch of fun, gratuitous violence from this absolutely like reckless creature, this reckless, determined, just full of vengeance creature, and wants to an egotistical creature. I mean, but you still get that just with I would say, post PS4, post PS3 God of War Kratos mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dive deep into the spoilers of the character arc, but yeah, I can see that the action in this movie was honestly it delivers. Like the classic weapons from Predator are there, and they had a couple of new items in there that really show off and just make this movie a distinct version of the Predator. The key one is the laser sword.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, in the trailer, just slicing everything.
He kept calling it a lightsaber, guys, and I was just like, listen, I think this sword is badass as hell, but don't call it a lightsaber, man.
There was a couple of sword fights in the movie. It was basically a lightsaber battle.
No, but it was so cool, like how they utilized the various weaponry, and his whole arsenal going to it. And I like kind of the Metroid approach. I always love this in movies when they do that, especially sci-fi. The Metroid approach, where basically landing on a planet and showing all the gear you had beforehand, and then suddenly losing a good chunk of that gear, if not all of it, towards the beginning. So it's just, I love that kind of stuff. It truly makes the character's journey much more interesting, and again, much more badass with how they go about circumventing, not having those that arsenal at their disposal. So I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed how they went about that throughout this movie.
I got a lot of Planet Earth vibes from this movie, the Will Smith movie from like 2012, I think. Essentially, just throws the main character into a unhabitable world, and he has to be resourceful and essentially learn the ways of the planet in order to survive. And that's kind of like the main theme of this movie. Of he's learning the ways of Genna, I think is the name of the planet, or they call it the planet of death by the Yuja. The
Yeah.
Yuja is what the predators call themselves. Yeah, I really got some pieces of different movies in this movie, which I was not expecting in a Predator movie. Predator, I'm thinking, all right, this is gonna be a classic hunting movie. You got cop in New York versus Predator. You got team of assassins in the jungle versus Predator. You got predators versus a bunch of killers on a different death planet, all attacking each other. That's what I was expecting going to this movie. This one is a lot of different elements from different movies, but they kind of pulled together into a Predator movie.
Yeah, and I would say if you love action thriller movies, especially the sci-fi variety, you're gonna get quite a bit out of this one. It is such a fun time, especially with what we saw. We saw it in Dolby. Highly recommend if you're able to see it in Dolby. It's a thrill of a time. But yeah, going back to the idea of this isn't your typical Predator movie, that was something I was concerned about, because you get the feeling of that by, I want to say, midway through the first act. And there are certain characters that jump into the story, most in particular, Elle Fanning's character. By the end of the movie, I thoroughly enjoyed her character. I'm glad she was in it. But early on, I was like, oh, is this going to be her throughout the whole movie? I'm not sure how I feel about
I
that.
was really worried about that. She kind of comes off as very quirky side character in the very beginning, but it's a very quick transition into like lovable character.
I read a review. I don't typically look at reviews before going into a movie, but I read a review that came up that said it was like one of the few negative ones, because right now I think it's like an 87, 88 on Rotten Tomatoes, that said like, oh, it's another victim of Disneyfied 20th Century Fox. And I'm while I think typically that is a, pretty ridiculous way of viewing things.
It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly. I would say with this one, I kind of get what they're saying, but at the same time, that's not the way I would describe it.
like there are moments where it seems very lighthearted for a Predator movie, and maybe that's what they were referring to. But at the end of the day, this dude's still tearing through other beings here, and
There is some spine ripping out of people.
yes, the signature thing. I do not think you're going to be going to Disney World anytime soon with your child purchasing the local plastics skeletal spinal human spine piercing out of the cotton candy. I mean, I don't think you're going to be getting any of that.
There was some humor in there that did fall flat, and there was other jokes in there that I actually found very funny. But that's kind of jarring to see in a Predator movie. Don't worry about the badass moments. The badass moments are there.
Oh,
There's
in full, yeah.
in full force. There are badass moments. Like there's alien references up the wazoo. There's Easter eggs up the wazoo. If you're a fan of this universe, you'll like this movie just from the references in it. The story itself, it doesn't follow the normal railroad of a Predator movie, but I think it's a good addition to the series.
There are a lot of similar beats, though, to the typical Predator storyline. It's just kind of set in reverse a little bit. Without giving too much away, it does turn it on its head, which, from the trailer, you already do get that feeling like, oh, this is a different one than what we've typically seen before. He's the one more so being hunted than the other way around. And along with what was mentioned in the trailer already, there's Wayland Yutani in this movie, Steve.
There is.
There's Wayland Yutani. And you know what Wayland Yutani is from, Steve?
I know, but you can say it.
I was hoping you would say it.
It's Alien. Alien universe.
Well, because I know. Do you know?
I just answered you.
Yeah, I was just making it clear. Because I'm like, how sincere.
You're not going to out-nerd me, Ethan, all right?
You want to have a nerd off?
I'll nerd you off right now right now.
But yeah, no, Wayland Yutani, from the Alien franchise, is involved in this movie. Heavily, heavily involved. Not just a classic Easter egg to the side. It's in the trailers. It's heavily involved in this movie. And this honestly is a borderline Alien versus Predator movie already. But without giving too much away, it doesn't deliver in the way you would think with me saying that. But it does deliver as a Predator movie.
I would disagree with it feeling like an Alien versus Predator movie.
Oh, no, I don't mean like feeling like an Alien versus Predator movie.
Oh, you mean like the convergence of the two series together?
Yes.
Okay, in that sense, yes.
Yes. Where
But
the
not-
amount of references from one coming about within this one.
Yeah, I agree there. It's definitely not an Alien versus Predator movie, but yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love the usage of it rather than just being a like, hey, look, it's Wayland Yutani. You get all excited about it because it's, Wayland Yutani from the other franchise, and it more likely than not will lead to AVP eventually. Which
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping.
I'm feeling like that's their end game here. But, here it's again a true part of the story and an essential part of the story, and how it's utilized here, I think is so well done.
I agree. The going into this movie, I was kind of on the fence about the main character. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this guy's not a true Predator," and honestly, in the way of how the story is told, that is kind of the main point. People who go into this movie have expectations of like, maybe this isn't gonna be a character that I like. I feel like you're gonna be surprisingly wrong about it and happy for it. Going in, I didn't think this Predator would be a Predator, but as the movie goes on, you really see him come into his own. It's kind of like a essentially a coming of age story for this Predator, and I really attached my interest into this character, and as well as the synth character Thea,
Yeah.
and another character who gets revealed in the movie. I think a lot of people have expectations of this is a bad character to follow, but I'm just saying, give it a chance. Give this movie a chance if you consider yourself a Predators fan. If you don't like it afterwards, who cares? There's been previous bad movies in this series before. It's nothing new.
And if you like the idea of the Predator just hunting humans and having a blast doing that, those movies exist. They are out there for you to watch on repeat, on physical media, if you're a supporter of that, like Steve and I are.
I own a copy of Alien vs. Predator on DVD.
Hell yeah, dude. But you hear that, Annmarie? Do you hear that this is a coming-of-age movie?
It
Yeah.
is.
you missed out, girl. You got to get to the theater and see this movie. I feel like it's right up your alley. Would you say that?
I would say so, Annmarie. I'm talking right to you into your ear as you're editing this right now. You gotta go see this, all right? This Predator comes of age in this movie, all right?
He comes of age so hard.
He
Like
comes of age so hard in his pants.
not too on the nose, man. Down to the acting as well. Elle Fanning, I think, does a great job of capturing the quirky but also sincere character of a synth. And along with, oh gosh, what was the guy that played
The Predator.
yeah, shoot, Dimitrius Koloamatangi. When you're able to channel, I know a lot of it was CGI and like prosthetics, but still, you gotta still act it out and everything. And I think his performance was truly captivating, especially with the limitations that he is given, with most of it being a lot of prosthetics and CGI. It's very well done, like through the body language and everything. I think he's got a good future ahead of him.
He was definitely able to convey a lot of emotion through the prosthetics. Obviously, the mandibles on his face kind of helped with it. But like as his emotional journey continued through the movie, you could really see the exact emotion he was feeling on his face. Like the prosthetics wasn't a limitation; it was like an addition to his acting.
It enhanced, it's truly like a microcosm of filmmaking. It's like all these different elements coming together to create something awesome as it comes to fruition. So it's awesome to see that all coming together in the form of a character, and of course the movie itself as well. So between those performances, I think it was awesome. Now there was a cutesy moment that was, I want to say, early on in the movie, that was just kind of like, again, not Ellie Fanning's character, but there was another character that gets involved later on that was like, oh, this seems very intensely lighthearted for a Predator movie. And by the end of it, though, again, kind of like Elle Fanning, I'm glad that character was in the movie. It's definitely not going to be one that a lot of Predator fans will be on board with, but I don't know. I was for it.
I was for it too, but I'm calling it now. It's gonna be a controversial Predators
Yeah.
movie.
Absolutely. But for us, we really enjoyed it. Now, Steve, before we, because there's something I want to talk about with spoilers, I think we got to rate this thing.
I'll rate it.
All right. So
How many clicks of the mouth would you give this?
I would give this one, I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I do think it felt a little empty, though, in other areas where I feel like it could have delivered a little more to make it more dense, and little del- I want to say in the second act, I wanted more of the character to be exploring what was the name of the planet?
Gina?
Yeah, Gina. Like I feel like we did get a lot of that, but just not enough to where I felt the meat of the world. You know what I mean? I think it does a great job saying the scale and everything, and Dan Trachtenberg and his DP do a great job of it. But I just maybe could have used one more other creature for him to fight, one more instance where they was showing the diversity of the ecology there to really throw me into this world and bring this story home. But that's just a me thing, so I gotta give it a 9 out of 10.
That's higher than I thought you would rate it. Wow.
Yeah, no, I loved it thoroughly.
I would give it an 8.5, I think. 8.5. I think the biggest deterrent for this movie was maybe the lightheartedness was a little bit too much. It kind of took me out of the movie in some scenes, but the scenes after that would go straight into the action most of the time, or it would develop the character's emotional journey. So it kind of put me back into the movie immediately after the jarring, funny moment, essentially.
Yeah,
And there were some funny moments that didn't really hit home for me, so that's why I would give it minus 1.5 points.
there's still like funny moments in the original Predator and all that, but I think that if someone were to use that as like a defense of why that worked and this didn't, I mean, it's mainly because, in the first Predator, we're talking about soldiers here, right? And mercenaries for hire who are using it to use humor as a way to avoid, as a form of escape in the midst of their terror, right?
Yeah,
Here, it's a synth with feelings, but a synth. And it's just, you don't really see them fall back on humor too much typically in this universe. So I could see why that's jarring, but yeah, no, I get where you're coming from on that. But guys, Predator Badlands, I gave it a 9. Steve gave it a 8.5. Out of 10.
It deserves a recommendation.
Yeah,
If you're a sci-fi fan or action movie fan or a Predator or Alien fan, I think it deserves a watch.
yeah. So I couldn't agree more. I think it's a fun time in the theater, especially if you can see it in Dolby. I highly recommend seeing it in Dolby. But either way, if not, just go to the theater and see this movie. It's such a fun time, and this is coming from someone that's not even that big of a Predator fan. Enjoy those movies, but I gotta say, I'm more of an Alien boy at heart. But still, nonetheless, this is a movie you gotta see in the theater. But with all that said, let us know your takes on our tapes in the comments down below. But Steve, it's spoiler time, and I think we need to talk a little bit about it. It won't be a thorough spoiler talk just due to our schedules here, but I think we need to talk about a couple little things here before we let go. Do you think that Elle Fanning's character of Thea is one where it is a result of what we saw in Alien Earth?
Where a child downloaded into a synth body.
Yes.
I think that is a probable theory, quite honestly. I think the reason why there was two synths, Thea and Tessa, one was a normal synth with maybe higher sensitivity. Other Thea, the main character, second main character, was a child put into a robot's body. Maybe mind wiped. I don't know. She felt a little bit too human in order for her to be a synthetic human.
Yeah, and I mean that maybe that's why, and I thought this was just a humor thing at first, like for quirkiness, but when she's talking and asking all these, questions at the beginning when she first meets Deck, it's it's like, oh wait, when you think about it, her being a synth with feelings and possibly being one where a child was downloaded to her mainframe or what have you, that is that makes it all the more plausible for her to be asking all those questions, for her being as quirky as her character was. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I can get behind that more if that is the case. Does the movie clarify if that's the case? Not 100%, but I think it just leaves enough clues where I can be 95% sure that is the case.
Her personality was very childlike, especially in the beginning, and there wasn't outward evidence in the movie, but I can see that being a likely cause of her personality being that way.
Yes. And now, Steve, where would you say this leads us into Alien versus Predator? Do you see, because I mean, I feel like between you and I, we're both under the same understanding that we're definitely going to get an AVP movie probably within the next 5 years or so. And, you got to build up to it at some point, right? So, what would you say this movie does to set that up?
So it definitely builds a ragtag team of a new Yuja clan, consisting of Dex, Thea, and the what was her name, Bud,
Bud.
the Follisk pup. So it kind of gives off Guardians of the Galaxy vibe towards the end of like, oh hey, we're a ragtag team of you know outcasts, cast aside from the typical Predator clans. I think it just sets up to where they might be banished or they're on the run from a typical Predator clan, like Dex's mother, who comes in at the very end of the movie.
Mother.
Probably likely hunting them down. So maybe it's a Predator versus aliens versus outcast predators kind of movie where maybe they chase Dex and the crew to a alien world filled with xenomorphs, and then they have to maybe fight off the xenomorphs with Dex's mother. That's my just off the cuff kind of premise that might happen.
Yeah, that was interesting. Like, I mean, I thought that they were kind of gonna just jump right into like maybe Wayland Yutani's ship carrying xenomorphs landing on the home planet of the Predators, but with the mother being brought in at the end of it, Deck's mother, I'm like, oh, are we delaying this? Are we like gonna take longer to build up to a AVP movie, or is this the setup within itself to the AVP movie, because it could be going down that line that you just said of
Yeah,
this could be the direct lead up to it where it involves the mother. And I don't know, that's something that I didn't even think about until now. And yeah, that's a really neat idea. I mean, I'd be there for that.
I was very disappointed there was a complete lack of xenomorphs in this movie. I told Ethan right next to me in the theater, like, I'm calling it now. There's gonna be a xenomorph in this movie, and there was not. I was a little sad.
I don't know. I think it would be a little too soon to bring in a xenomorph, because I mean, technically within this world that Dan Trachtenberg's developing, we have one alien movie, right, with Alien Romulus.
Mm-hmm.
We have technically Prey, but Prey was kind of set up before these other movies came out.
Okay.
You have Predator Badlands, which you haven't seen, so I can only say so much, but it's kind of
You
got
mean
set up a
you
little
mean
bit.
the animated Predator?
Yeah.
Not Predator Brilliant. We just saw that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Killer of Killers.
Killer of
That's what I
Killers,
meant to say. Which does kind of set up something for the future. I'm not sure if it's within its own range to keep it within the animation realm, or if it's still playing into what's coming with the live action. But there is kind of a tease of AVP stuff there in post-credit world. And then this, I feel like we might need one more Alien film before we can bring in an AVP situation, but I don't know.
I could see that, where you need maybe the alien side to kind of tie in with this new Predator movie, but yeah, I just want it right now. I don't. I do want a new Alien movie, but in addition to an Alien versus Predator movie, I'm a very greedy fan.
Yeah, and they already confirmed that Alien Romulus is getting a sequel. I just don't think Fede Alvarez is directing it, which is unfortunate. But hopefully the next guy up is doing something great with it. But we are getting another one, so maybe that's the one that might be that transition phase into an AVP. To kind of set that up. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it all wraps up here. But guys, I think that does it here for our spoiler talk of I was gonna say Alien versus Predator. We want it now. Predator Badlands. Guys, again, we can't oversay enough. We really did enjoy this movie. It's such a great time at the theater. It's not a perfect movie, but what movie is? Definitely a fun time. Great popcorn movie at the bare minimum. Steve, do you have anything else before we sign off here?
It was the thrill of the hunt throughout the entire movie. It was a lot of feel good with the brotherly love, the sisterly love at some points, and also there was some How to Train Your Follisk in there. And it was a Mod Podge of a movie, but it somehow pulls all those elements into a good movie.
Into a good movie.
Into a good movie.
Yeah, kind of like those. I don't know what they're called, but that weapon where it just kind of like is a net, but just brings it all together.
Oh, the needle thing is what you're talking?
No. Like if you've seen any of the other Predator movies, it's like a weird ball thing. They throw the ball at the person, and it springs out this for net thing, and then it just closes down on them, and then just yeah,
that's what it does.
or no more body, body go boom. But whatever your little metaphor may be for this movie, a hodgepodge, a net that crushes your limb from limb, whatever it may be, guys, we want to know your takes on our takes within this movie for Predator Badlands. I'm excited to hear y'all's thoughts on it, where it may lead with Alien versus Predator just on the horizon. We want it now. But guys, thank you for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast. But whether you have or haven't, please don't forget to rewind. I've been Ethan.
I've been Steve.
And
Don't wheel your mandibles at me. That's disgusting.